In today's episode, we have Mr. Abe Mikhael, who is going to share with us his migration story and the experience he's had of the last 50 years of the Coptic Church in Australia. Abe, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
So tell us about your migration story and where you're from.
We are from Port Said, which is one of the cities of the Suez Canal. It lies in the top northeast corner of Africa or Egypt. We grew up in Port Said until 1967, when the Six-Day War happened in Port Said. My father had an idea to migrate to Australia after that, after the war. His sister had already come across here, my auntie, Tante Sanea, and Uncle Faiz Gobran. They encouraged Dad with Mr. Farag Gobran as well, who was from Port Said. By 1969, my dad had completed all the paperwork necessary. He applied and got the visa and landing and everything. We were very excited. In June 1969, we migrated from Port Said to Alexandria. And we stayed 6 months in Alexandria with my teta, with my grandmother, Teta Skandara Abdul Masih. And I went to the first secondary school in a school called Abbasiyya in Alexandria. But by that time, we already knew that we were coming to Australia, so basically we were just counting time. Yeah. We were very excited, obviously, to come to a new land. My dad, Mikhael Ibrahim, Mom, Layla Khouri, my brothers, Hani, Rami, and Hansi. We left Egypt in January 1970. We boarded a BOAC plane, which stopped in Bombay, and then we changed in Hong Kong. We spent the night in Hong Kong, and then we bought a tape recorder, reel-to-reel tape recorder,
oh, wow.
as people would do in those days.
Yeah.
The cassette was not even invented yet.
Wow.
And then we boarded another plane, another BOAC, which is the predecessor of British Airways, from Hong Kong to Sydney. We landed in Sydney on the 21st of January 1970. At the airport, Sydney Airport, there was Tante Sanea and Uncle Faiz. They had a Valiant station wagon. We all fitted in the back, as we did then, and we went to their home in Marrickville. So we stayed in Marrickville for probably a few years. We stayed in Teta Sanea's house, in Tante Sanea's house with Wafi, Sausan, and Amal for probably about 2 weeks until the school started in February. We went to Dulwich High School. We were in 4th form then. I was enrolled in 4th form, which is year 10. This is before they changed the system.
Yeah.
So Dulwich High was probably a very good place to start for new immigrant kids, especially from Egypt. There were a lot of Egyptian boys that came, at least half a dozen, and there were a lot of Greek boys that came from Egypt as well. So, and a couple of Sudanese as well from Sudan. So it was a nice place to start to see other people who were the children of migrant families like us. It's where I got to know my best friends, really, until now. There was Camille Grace, there was Murad Salama, who later became Bishop Daniel of the monastery of Bashnuda. It's there where I met Antun Namatallah, who was a good friend and encouraged me to go to the church. We used to go, obviously, to church in Port Said and in Alexandria. But I think for new migrants, when they come here, the church is not just a place to go on Friday or Sunday, or to go to Sunday school. It's also a place where you go and meet people who are going through the same experiences as you are. and that was unique, obviously. We were welcomed by the greater Australian community. There were lots of Italians and Greeks and Aussie kids, and Dulwich Hill was a really nice place to grow up in Marrickville. Yeah, so that's a brief summary of what happened in that first few years.
So it sounds like a lot happened in those first few years, or even the first few months. So were you then there in the beginning where the Redfern Church was, or
Yes.
did you go straight to Sydenham?
No, I remember when we went. The first couple of liturgies that we attended were in Redfern, and I remember when we were in Alexandria, we used to attend Sunday school at St. Mark's Cathedral in Alexandria with my cousins, Peter and Samuel, who were in the same year as I am. And I remember the servant there, when he found out that we were going to Australia, he said, one of the deacons of our church, his name is Abu Namina, is now gone to Australia, and we have a church in Australia. So that was very exciting, and they knew about it in Egypt as well, and they were telling people that this is really good news, that when you'll go, you won't feel strange or like a foreigner, you'll feel like at home in the church. So I was looking forward to meet Abu Namina. And when I found out that one of his children was with me at school, that was really good. So we went to Redfern a couple of times, and I remember we went late, so I was standing at the back of the church. And it's a very faint memory, but only a couple of times we went to Redfern. But then I remember Tony at school, he said to me, we're going to buy a new church in Sydenham, and we're not going to be renting anymore. And that was like an amazing thing, because all the churches in the land of migration at that time were renting churches that belonged to other denominations and conducting masses in it, probably on Saturday, because they were using it on the Sunday themselves. So this was a really amazing thing, and we were very excited. And I remember we started going there during the Lent of 1970. So by Easter 1970, I think we had already moved in. So that was great news. And we started in Sydenham from the beginning. The atmosphere in Sydenham was amazing at the time. We were all pretty much of the same background. Like, we all came from middle to upper people. The Copts that left Egypt at that time were educated and pretty much had really good jobs at the time, and they were not coming because of economic reasons. They were coming for other reasons. And the situation for them in the land of migration was pretty similar. Right? They were having the same experiences as we were. The language, the challenges with language and understanding, especially for students like us, understanding the teachers and getting along with the other kids. It was an atmosphere where we felt that we could confide in each other and talk about those particular issues. We had great Sunday school teachers at the time. I remember them. We had Ustaz Amir Hanna, Ustaz Nagib Yassa, Ustaz Sobhi Tadrus, Allah yarhamu, Ustaz Nagib Yassa, Allah yarhamu. God rest their souls. But we remember them with fondness, and Ustaz Saad Israel as well. They were people that we could rely on. Abu Namina used to give everybody freedom to serve and encouraged Sunday school a lot.
Abe, thank you so much for your time and for sharing all those stories and wonderful memories, and just taking us down memory lane over the last 50 years of the Coptic Church in Australia. And we thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Susie.